Okay, here's a part two. I also talked about, let's talk about blended families. Let's give a little bit of time to that. I was married before, and I had a daughter. Not mine by birth, but it's my husband's daughter at the time. So I was in her life from the time she was born. Because we all know kids don't ask to be here. And I loved her like she was my own. You know, I have to thank her mom for sharing her with me and my family, but it wasn't always easy. It was, I remember a conversation I had with her mom, and it was like, you know, sometimes you have they call, excuse my little gray hair coming out of my, this unruly, the nerve of me to come on here in my natural state. I'm just going to come in my truth. Let's leave it at that. So, back to what I was saying. I had to let her mom know. I remember, it was probably in my early 20s. And I told her, the sooner you realize that I'm marrying him, or I'm married to him, so one of the two we were already married, I don't remember, and you have his daughter, and we both have to exist in this relationship in our own respective places, the better off you'll be. And it was like a struggle for a long time. We grew up, of course, and we get along now, but then, I remember her saying, I'm surely he would have married me, I had the daughter. Talk about blended families. And so, I always wanted to make sure that baby knew that she was loved, regardless of what her dad and her biological parents went through, regardless of what we went through. And as time progressed, her father and I divorced. And she didn't understand it, and I had, there's my pup moving around. There's my pup. He gets tired of me talking sometimes. But, I remember when I was carrying my daughter, she was probably, 7 or 8, when I was pregnant with my daughter, so that meant that she and I wouldn't be able to do those things like we used to, because she lived like a couple hours away from where I lived. And my focus was going to be on my newborn baby, and she clowned me. So I talk about the blended family, because sometimes that co-parenting happens. We got to that point where we could co-parent, but when she realized that she was not going to be the only person in the house, she was very rebellious and combative, and she got a little mean and nasty. And I was like, what is wrong with you? I'm like, don't you know I was going to love you? And my friend's dad, God rest his soul, he told me, he said, you got a little girl mad at you? I was like, what you mean? I'll never forget it. Big John, God rest his soul. He said, little girl mad at you. I said, what was she mad about? Because you know, little kids get diarrhea of the mouth, excuse the expression. But they do whenever they're like feeling some type of way, they need an ally. So she was talking to John. And she was telling me, you know, she ain't gonna be able to buy me nothing when that baby get here. Just all kinds of craziness. Not realizing that was just making room. But when she would come now, she'd have a sibling. And now she's grown, she's 25. And her sibling is going to be 17, so. And the other sibling is going to be 16. So, anyway, she went through a change where she didn't know she fit, you know, with me having kids. And I was like, you're always going to be a part of me. It's just that now my focus is going to be to your sister. Well, I was having a little sister. But I never had to be firm with her except for this one time. And she was acting so bad, I had to tell. She had to point, you ain't my mama. Never talked to me like that before in all the years of her living. And I was like, what's wrong with you? Why are you acting so crazy? Well, it's because I was having a baby. And so I was like, okay, two can play this game. So I called her mom. I said, come get your daughter. She's like, what? I said, you'll make the trip. Come get your child. And I told her in front of her mom, I said, when you can get your attitude together and you can come here and you respect me, because take a look at your surroundings. You're with me, not even with your father. You're with me. I take the time with you. And I don't have to choose you. I chose you. And I said, until you can come back and act like you got some sense, don't come back to my house again. That was probably the hardest thing I ever did to her. But it made her understand her place in my life. That wasn't planned. It wasn't that I was putting her aside or casting her out. It's that I loved her enough to correct her. And a few years went by. She came back whenever I remarried. Her and her mom came to our wedding. And from that point on, it was like she's calling me by my first name, and she was like, I'm sorry. I just don't understand. And by this time, her siblings were like 3 and 4. And then she was learning to have fun. She still had a little jealous streak at the time, but they learned to have fun together. Now they're unbreakable. And so, when you talk about blending a family, and then there's some children never get over the fact that parents separate and move on, even to adult children. You know, they're tolerant, but they're not accepting of the fact that parents have moved on. You know, for whatever their differences were that they separated. Sometimes they can't accept the fact that they moved on. I didn't grow up in that environment. I had a 2-parent home. I was blessed. And only death separated my parents. I was a woman that was divorced and remarried. And my baby girl that I was just talking about is still in my life, and she's 25 to this day. And my husband now knew that, hey, she's part of me regardless of who I'm with. And I had to let her know when I divorced her dad. I said, I'm not divorcing you. I said, I'm divorcing your father. You'll always be a part of my life as long as you choose to be, and that has held true to this day. And she calls my husband Papa. And I wish for that, and I know here I am in my truth, and it may make some people mad and some whatever, if the truth is the truth. And I don't expect everyone to love me, because here I am, I have adult children that are part of my husband's kids, and then I have my kids here. And see, even just some adult kids can't accept the fact that parents just can't get along. And they still have some issues. I wish it was different. They say this, but whenever you're ready, I'm here. That's my story. And if you're never ready, I can't make you. I won't force you, but I'll be here for you, regardless of what. This is how I was raised. That's how I know to be. You know, whatever's a part of extension of him or myself, we accept it. And a lot of people can't understand how you accept someone as an extension, but you do. And that's what I said about blended family. You know, when the two became one, was the work really done? Because even when two people come together and they have children, the work isn't done just because you got married. It doesn't make it all right. It doesn't magically appear that you have this great family unit. It takes work. It takes time. You know, it takes openness. It takes love. Patience. It's like every fruit of the Spirit is exercised. Every single one. Like your long suffering and your patience and your whew, long suffering, temperance. All of that is, it takes all of that. And forgiveness. A lot of times people understand because they haven't forgiven themselves for something. And not necessarily the other party, but sometimes they haven't forgiven themselves for something they may have done or said in a past relationship. And then they think about shoulda, coulda, wouldas or whatever. But you have to forgive you first for whatever it is. Even if it's not having the right words or doing the right thing or saying the right thing or just not being everything you could have been to someone. We have to start there. We can't always want to change somebody. Work on yourself. It's an inward, it's an inside out, not an outside in type thing. Inside out, work on you inside out. Stop trying to change the next person. You hear some snoring, it's my dog. It's my dog. Let me show you. Let me see if I can do it. If I can show you my pup. It's not going to let me show you my pup. I can't flip my camera. But he's down here snoring. But like I was saying, blended families. I wish my husband was here to talk about it. He puts it so well into words. And sometimes you wish situation can be different. Or you wish that sometimes you can have a child that just is that missing link is the relationship with the other parent. So co-parenting is very important. Co-parenting is not, let me get this straight. Let me get some people straight before you even, and don't drag me for this, ladies or men. But co-parenting is not on your terms. I'll say it again. To effectively co-parent, it is not on one of the other's terms. It's being reasonable for the sake of the child. Okay. A lot of times I see where, and I have even been in a situation where if it wasn't the way the mom or the custodial parent wanted it, that the non-custodial was more so the one that suffered. We got to learn, and then, or sometimes you have the non-custodial, will be the stick stirrer, or the poo starter, as we want to call it. And then it causes strife and chaos. And the only person suffering, the parents are going through because they're going back and forth, but that child is missing out on one or the other. So then this child, who's not even in the capacity in their mind to decide or even can understand the balance or imbalance that's happening, and it's like, oh shoot, who should I be loyal to? Oh, should it be the ones that I live with? Should it be the ones that I was born to? What should it be? We're stressing these poor kids out, and then we wonder why we have the issues we have, or we wonder why kids are doing things to themselves or getting into chemicals and substance abuse or alcohol, and it's because we have put so much stress on them, on their little minds, their little creatures. They're gifts to us, and we need to do everything in our power to protect them. Everything in our power to raise them right. Yes, you got some that are just rebellious and just can't get right. I get that. But when we do things as parents, as adults, that just keep the strife and keep the chaos going, we got to do better. We got to do better. And sometimes not saying anything to keep the peace is way better than having the drama. Because then that's the kid's going to see you in your weakness. That child's going to see the dysfunction that you have in your life. Or they'll miss out on great opportunities because of your jealousy or your insecurities. And usually when they're constantly attacking someone that doesn't even know. I mean, to be honest, I've experienced this. Like, you don't even exist to me, but yet I'm the problem. Okay, whatever. So I'm just talking from my point of view. And I know a lot of people experience that. So you can't like, can we just get along for the kids' sake? Some people just don't want to do it. Because you weren't finished and it ended. Or you regret the fact that it ended. And you wish you could have changed things and you lost something good. Don't lose your good thing for something stupid. Even if you are adult enough to accept the fact that, you just grow up and grow apart, don't make it so difficult the child has to suffer. Be reasonable. Compromise for the child's sake. We gotta do better. We have to be better examples to our children. We have to be better examples in society as a whole, as leaders, as governors, as stewards over our children and our households. It's like, am I the expert? No. But I've lived enough life. I have lived enough life to know what it takes. I have been poured in spiritually from my biological dad, God rest his soul, and encounters in my walk of faith to know what's right and what's wrong and what's in the best interest of someone. Don't take away a child's chance at life because you're too busy being angry for what you lost. Or being angry because you forfeited something that you didn't realize was going to be a good thing later on because you didn't have the patience to work at it, the patience to go through those growing pains in relationships. If it's not abuse, infidelity, then it's workable. I'm not saying for you to stay in for abuse or infidelity. That's not healthy. But when you forfeit something special because you just can't, whatever you just can't do. That blended. We got to learn to do better for the kids' sake. It's healthy for the kids to co-parent effectively. Now, I am an advocate for if you cannot co-parent effectively, that's that cutoff game again. We got to do something. Let's discuss this. Can we come to a common ground and be real about it? Don't be snaky or whatever. Be real about it. Be respectful to the other parties involved, and especially the child. So that's going to be something we're going to talk more about. I'm going to make sure my husband comes back and talks about his experience with a blended family and a loss and stuff like that. So I want him to share his side of it. So that's another thing we want to talk about. That's part 1. So when the two become one, was the work really done? It doesn't just magically appear like Lucky Charms, pink hearts, yellow moons, orange stars, green clovers, and blue diamonds, and purple horseshoes. I don't know what all is in there now. But just know, there's a lot of work that has to be done. And it's really never done. It's daily. So that's all I have today. That's it, that's all. And until next time, I might be I'm just going to give you my natural stuff. Like, ooh, girl, why couldn't you come on here and you couldn't be? I'm just keeping it real with you. You never know, one day I might be all dolled up and stuff. I just want to keep it real with you for now. So that's all we have today. Until next time. Peace.